Cool. Hello, everybody. Sorry for the delay. I had to get my comically large wine glass that's bigger than my head, which is saying something. Which is saying something. Welcome. Khadija says first. Yes, this is the first comment on this video outside of mine. So I'm going to make this an open panel because I assume people have stuff to say. So I'll let you come up and comment if you so choose to. Yes, I'm good. Is it? Oh, my hair looks crazy. Nobody told me. I don't know what to do about it. It's stiff. It's always stiff right after. So, yep. There. Look at that. Hold up. Look at this. Watch. It's just gonna pop back up. I could put it back, but it's just this one is still popping back. I don't know what to do about that. I hope it's resolved by work tomorrow. I hope that much. Who does my hair? I actually have a new stylist as of like 2 days ago, because my original stylist is like tired of me being like, hey, do you have an opening in 30 minutes? It's just not. I have to remember that stylists are not like barbers, so you can't just walk in. You can't just walk in and get stuff done. So it is what it is. I got my hair done so that I could look professional in front of these white people Monday. They don't like nappity. They're not into that. And I haven't been at the company long enough to do anything with the HR. I'm not going to be that guy. Give me about another year or two. Or give me a management position. I'll go directly to HR. But as of now, no. So there is a male teacher. He's a black male, right? I'm saying a black male because some people are saying there's a racial aspect to this. But he's a black male teacher, and he's currently under fire and potentially being fired for allowing his female students to braid his hair. And the internet is divided. The internet is divided, with some people saying that not only is this completely reasonable of a thing for teachers to do with their students, and that when they were young, our teachers did the same. We used to braid our teachers' hair. Our teachers used to braid our hair, right? There are people who are saying not only is this acceptable, but commendable, right? Because look at how safe he makes the students feel. And do you know how comfortable you have to be with someone to do that with them, right? Et cetera, et cetera. And then the opposing side, of course, is saying that this is a intimate behavior, even if not sexual, and it is inappropriate for a teacher to be doing with a student, among other things that they're pointing out from his channel that we might go through if we have time. I'm trying to keep this between 30 to 45 minutes. So maybe like 25 to 30 minutes looking at and reviewing the videos, and a couple minutes if people want to come up. So I'll play my intro and we can get into it. Oops, thought I had time. Put some water and some kind of moisturizing lotion in it. It'll lay back down. Okay, I'm gonna play a 30-second. I'm about to run to the bathroom, put some moisturizer, and come back. And if it don't look good, Brandy's in timeout. How about that? So let's blind watch, right? I'm trying to give a blind reaction. So let's start from the beginning. I'm going to go directly to his channel. I know people have already reviewed him and given their takes on it, but I'm trying to watch the original stuff. And I guess he put a lot out related to that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 videos he has about this incident. I think all of these look like they're related to the hair. So let's start with number 1.
Let's go ahead and stir the pot a little, shall we? Last Friday, 10 minutes before dismissal time, I decided to live stream my students helping me take my hair out. There was quite the discourse in the chat, which had people saying this was inappropriate and other people saying this was completely fine. There was nothing wrong. with what
This sounds very soft to me. I can barely hear this. Am I tripping? Let me see. Let me see what's up with the volume. Well, the volume's all the way up.
I was doing, and people were just making it weird. So, of course, I had to bring this issue to the big stage. I would like to represent myself in this case, Your Honor, if I may. Number one, for a little context, I had a hair appointment immediately after school, and I needed my hair taken out beforehand. I would have taken it out the night before, but that Friday we had a camera crew coming in to shoot a promotional video.
Yeah, I can't hear this at all. Let me see if somebody else uploaded it because I cannot hear this. Yeah, the music was an interesting choice. I don't know why. I don't know why. I'm not going to find the original. I'm just going to find responses. Can we all hear the video or no? Because I cannot hear it at all. I guess I'll go back. I'll just let it play.
Let's go ahead and stir the pot a little, shall we? Last Friday, 10 minutes before dismissal time, I decided to live stream my students helping me take my hair
Oh, happy Mother's Day. How rude of me. Happy Mother's Day to all mothers. Word to the mothers.
out. There was quite the discourse in the chat, which had people saying this was inappropriate and other people saying this was completely fine. There was nothing wrong with what I was doing, and people were just making it weird. So, of course, I had to bring this issue to the big stage. I would like to represent myself in this case, Your Honor, if I may. Number one, for a little context, I had a hair appointment immediately after school, and I needed my hair taken out beforehand. I would have taken it out the night before, but that Friday we had a camera crew coming in to shoot a promotional video, and I was one of the ones being interviewed. So I had to look presentable, so I didn't take my hair out. I didn't have the time to do it all myself because it would have taken me forever. So naturally, I asked about 4 or 5 of my over 100 best friends to assist me in taking my hair out, and they all agreed. Number two, this was at the end of class. This week we were doing STEM fair presentations. Since it was Friday and all of my students did an excellent job on their STEM fair projects and presentations, I told them if we get one solid presentation in this class, I'll end class a little early and they can.
I just realized he did not blur any of these children's faces. He did not blur their names. He did not, the name of the school, I mean, on his shirt. That's an interesting choice, but I no longer feel comfortable putting that on the screen. Dang, in every video? Wow. So he does not blur these children out at all. That's wild. Well, I wanted to watch the videos on his channel, but I feel like it is very, very negligent, in my opinion, to be putting children on the internet where their likeness will remain forever without a blur or anything, with the name of the school like in full view of the camera in every video. That is wild. Let me try to go to his responses since they don't have the children in it. But for a brief synopsis, it seems like he's saying that he did a live stream where the children were taking his hair down in the class, his female students specifically. I didn't see any men in the video. Oops, I accidentally closed it. I didn't see any boy students in the video. And sorry, I'm trying to open it back. Okay, I didn't see any boy students in the videos, so just female students, which is also an interesting choice. But he had them do his hair on a live stream, and he says it was a reward, it sounds like, because they wanted to do it so bad, and so he let them do it after I think he said a good test day or something like that, but I'm pretty sure he said as a reward. If their parents signed a media release, he doesn't have to blur faces, unfortunately. I did read something about him getting consent from all of the parents. And then later I read that this was just a lie he told, kind of from the backlash. And then later I saw another educator who was saying the school district might have gotten consent to record videos, but that would have to be related to and posted on like school district page. So maybe if like Marlon Wayne High School, you get consent forms at the beginning of the year for your child to be recorded, but it might be like on the track team website, pictures of the track kids, or on the school website, you might have miscellaneous pictures of the children doing something. This will not be like any teacher can take pictures of your child and post them to their personal Facebook page or TikTok. Now, I'm not sure about that. That's just what I'm kind of listening to the educators on TikTok. So this is like TikTok knowledge. So please take this with a huge block of salt. But my understanding is like, just because the district has you sign slips to record children at the beginning of the year, if they sign those slips, this does not mean that individual teachers can just take pictures of the children and put them on personal Facebook page or something like that. This will have to be related to like a school district's page. So, but yeah, he said he was letting them do his hair as a reward. And while he was doing that on the live stream, apparently there were people in the chat who were, you know, uplifting and like, wow, this is so cool. What a great relationship you have with these children. And then there were some other people who were like wilding out in the comments, this is inappropriate and such and such. So he posts the video that we just watched that's like a rebuttal. And I think he starts off by saying, let me steer the pot a little. So clearly he's understanding that there is some controversy around what he's doing in the live stream. So he posts a second video about it. This is him responding to the comment. I'm curious, are you letting your daughter play in a grown man's head?
Yeah, let's go ahead and start clearing some people. Start with this gentleman right here. You letting your daughters play in a grown man's head? God forbid I had kids, but if I had a daughter with a teacher like myself, with a good heart, good spirit, sound mind, no, I would not mind if they took his hair out. That's what little girls like to do. They like to do hair and do nails and makeup. I have 5 little sisters. You bet your ass.
I feel like you are reinforcing gender roles. And I don't like that personally. I know this isn't what all of the discourse is about, and this is like a side note, but what's wrong with the boys in your class doing hair? Like, I know the new generation of teachers are like breaking norms, and like we high five the students, and every student has their own personal dap when they walk in the class. And I love that. I love the breaking norms and trying to make school more fun and, you know, safe and comfortable to students to a degree. But if we are like breaking the norms, why not be like, oh, just because you're a girl doesn't mean your interest has to be doing hair and nails, and just because you're a boy doesn't mean you can't braid. In fact, I would love it for more boys to know how to braid hair, right? Because if we did, I might have could have braided mine, and I wouldn't have had to go to a new stylist. And I really love the braids. Let me not drag my stylist at all. They're just a little stiff, and it's probably my fault because I don't know how to make them not stiff. I don't know how to make them not stiff without making them frizzy. Like, I feel like if I dip them in hot water, then they're gonna puff out and be puffy and frizzy, and like it's the first day with them. So I want to ideally wait weeks until it's at that level where it no longer looks fresh, right? Anyway, this isn't about me. The point is, we can break gender norms.
As I done had a wig on my head before, had a whole lace front. I done got my nails painted, eyebrows done. Bro, this is what they do. As a father, I would even let my daughter do those things. Like if she wanted to paint my nails pink or freaking put a wig on me or do my hair or put makeup on me, I'm going to do every single one of those things. You know why? Because I'm secure in my masculinity. That's one thing that I think is stumping a lot of guys, a lot of grown men today, is they are not secure with themselves and they project their own insecurities onto others. Everything doesn't have to be weird. It's even the way you worded this question. Read this. You letting your daughters play in a grown man's head? Do you see how you're already trying to spin that? That's very telling of.
Do we think this is a spin in the comments, letting your daughter play in a grown man's head?
What you have going on upstairs. We as a people have to abandon this idea of, you know, sexual intimacy being tied with getting your hair done. You have this view because typically you're intimate in a sexual manner with someone who does your hair. Automatically, this whole hair.
Also, I don't know if this was I don't know if the accusation is like the children are being sexually intimate with him. I think the accusations have to do more with whether or not this is appropriate in a school and whether or not this is intimate, even if it's not sexual intimacy, which I do believe this is intimate, letting somebody touch your hair. And as a Black man, personally, I feel like he should know this. Or maybe, I don't know if this happens to Black women more, but the idea that white people just come up and touch your hair and are just fascinated by nappity. They're just fascinated by it. Wow, look at this. This is what the kids these days call the nappity. And like, this is like a specimen, right? This is like intimate. Why are you putting your hands in my hair? It feels intimate and inappropriate for you to be doing. So I think that was what people were getting at, not necessarily that he was being sexual with children.
video is going to cause some people like, oh, that's weird. But again, it's very telling of your own state of mind. For you to watch a video like that, literally had the camera set up, protect myself, protect my students. Y'all can see there's nothing suggestive going on. It's like family, it's like community, as people were saying in the chat. This is simply a wholesome.
Also, I don't like the dismissal of critiques, right? Because I feel like as an educator, or even as a man, or even as a Black person, you should understand the idea of optics. You should completely understand, even if you disagree with them. You should understand, like, walking outside and people immediately perceive you as aggressive, or when men are out alone with their daughters, people immediately assume he's not the father, or this might be grooming. Or if you are a man in the car with your girlfriend doing and the police come and find y'all doing activities in the car, they're going to take the girl and say, hey, are you with this man? Do you know this man? Blah, 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 blah. Men, Black people, whatever demographic, tend to be perceived in certain ways. And regardless of if you disagree with how they're seen, you should at least be aware of this. The idea that his reaction is, oh my God, how could you even see this as inappropriate? It doesn't make sense. They're like family to you, but do you at least understand what people are saying and why they have an issue with this? Like, that part scares me a little bit, because you are an educator, right? And you're in a trusted position with children. I'm going to try to articulate myself the best I can, because I haven't fully fleshed out this thought. It just popped up, but bear with me. You are an educator and you're working with children, right? And you have this lapse of judgment, and the children are braiding your hair, right? And you don't know whether, you don't consider this behavior inappropriate, but you see comments and parents and other students saying, hey, this is wildly inappropriate, blah, 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 blah. You can't see why they might feel like it's inappropriate. Not agree that it's inappropriate, just can you understand why people are looking at this action as inappropriate? And if you can't understand why people look at this as inappropriate, can you understand other behaviors that are appropriate or inappropriate when children are doing them? Is a question that I would ask, because Purple Love, I don't know if it's willful or ignorance. I don't know if it's ignorance. I don't know if he's does understand but is intentionally trying to not address it, or I don't know what his angle is, right? I don't know this gentleman personally, but I want the people educating my children, or who have to be close with my children, right? Pastor, teacher, trusted adult. I want them to be aware of what behavior could be considered inappropriate when it comes to children. Like, what if another teacher is doing something inappropriate with a child? What if another teacher is rubbing a child's thigh and your reaction is, oh my God, I can't believe anybody would consider this inappropriate. What's wrong with, like, I want you to be able to identify the behavior is what I'm saying, even if you disagree whether or not it's inappropriate.
Innocent, community-oriented activity. As people mentioned, hair is very important in Black culture. We connect and we bond through our hair. And just like I said, little girls love to do hair. Bro, they jumped at the opportunity to help take my hair out and showcase their skills, their talents, and their abilities. Because a lot of them, they do hair. They got little side hustles. They do nails. They do nails, hair, and tracks. What's up? And I'm going to support Black business and support my students every time. Every time. Someone also mentioned.
Now, is he paying? Do these little girls have LLC and he's paying their business and he's a client? Now we can talk about whether or not it's appropriate for these people to be selling their services at school. But at least I would feel better if this is like, I have an LLC and this is what I do. Now, is it appropriate to do this at school? I still think no. Why is again, in the video, he's like, I didn't have time to take my hair down today, so I let the kid. That feels completely inappropriate, regardless of if it's intimate or not. This is something that you should probably take care of prior to going to work. I can't imagine going to work with half my braids taken down and I just have a blowout on one side. And I'm like, I didn't have time, so I was going to ask my boss to take them. Like, that feels weird to ask my coworker, boss, client, or whoever to help take out my hair because I didn't have time to do it at home. Maybe that's me, right? Maybe that's me.
Oh, I would love to see some of your, your guy BFFs in the video instead of just your girl. Bro, do you actually think middle school boys are trying to help their male teacher take his hair out? My sister, what?
You only saw girls taking out my hair because only girls wanted to do that. No guys were like, "Oh, Mr. White, can you pick? I want to take your braids out." Bro, middle school boys are not on that. They was on the basketball court.
Why are you comfortable blurring the line between what a teacher and student are doing, but you're not comfortable with boys braiding hair? And hey, boys, you guys can braid hair. Why are you shying away from blah, 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 blah? That feels unusual. I would wager people would feel more comfortable if the boys in the class were also braiding. I'm not saying it would be right. I'm saying I feel like people would be more comfortable, and they might even be more accepting. Not that they aren't accepting, because when I went in his comment section, there were plenty of people saying, "Oh my God, why is anybody looking at this behavior as inappropriate at all?" But I feel like people would be more sympathetic if he were letting the boys braid, or if he was even trying to teach boys that it's okay to braid hair, right? He said earlier about his masculinity and he's secure in it. Maybe he could pass that on to the boys. And I think it makes his other argument weaker that he does not.
They were on the dartboard. They weren't worried about my hair. I think some other things people were saying in the comments. Oh, this is so unprofessional. What if visitors come into the school? What does the administration think? Where's the admin? What about the parents? What do they think? Oh, this is how it starts. They start doing stuff like this just to get comfortable, then they start trying more. I hate the fact that simply because there are incidences of teachers taking advantage of minors, that there's just this like view that all teachers are on that type time just because of their close-knit relationships with their students. Not all teachers are sick in the head trying to go after minors. And if it isn't the teacher.
I think this is a little dismissive. We know that there's a type of thing going on in schools. I don't know if it's more or less prominent than it used to be, but we've all seen the stories that blow up on the news, right? About male teacher touching child, woman teacher touching child. And then these teachers be married with kids and money, and they don't even be like bottom of the barrel people. They just regular Tanya, a wife and children of 20 years. Her children go to that school, sleeping with a student. I don't understand it, but we all see these things, and we would like to be affirmed that you are not one of those people, right? So if you're doing behavior that we find concerning, maybe because of those other teachers who we have to watch our children around, then I feel like the way to respond to that isn't, you guys are stupid. Why would you ever think that I'm like those two? Like, you have to give us some type of affirmation that you are not that teacher, right? Because we're saying you're behaving inappropriately with our children like those teachers, and your response is, y'all are just, I don't know, traumatized because of other teachers, and you're projecting or something like that. Lee, you had something to add. Sorry.
Hey, yeah. And sorry, you might have mentioned some things before I just popped on. But you know how I know all of the discourse around how this is appropriate or not, how this is appropriate or not is fraudulent, is because in the Black community, there are very strict rules on what is appropriate, right? And I remember being hippie, I'm still hippie, but being hippie as a teen and walking and someone calling me fast for the way I walked, which is just my normal walk. I wasn't trying to be showy. But someone called me fast for the way I walked. But you mean to tell me you don't think it's weird that a grown man is allowing a bunch of teenage students to be in very close proximity to him, touching on him? Now you can say, oh, like that's dragging it. They're touching him. When I was a child, my mother told me, if a teacher so much as puts a finger on your shoulder, that's assault. And tell me, because that, sorry, I was going to say the N-word, but I don't want to swear. But that N-word's getting locked up, So we very clearly know that is not appropriate for a man to do. We know very much what girls shouldn't do. And I guarantee you, if, let's say this wasn't innocent, and honestly, I think that's a weird ass nigga. Sorry. I think that's a weird man, period. That man is weird. And the way he is so enthralled and wanting to engage with his female students, his girl students, is weird. And the way that people are fighting for him to be involved with female students is weird.
It's not, if it seems like he doesn't even do anything with his male students specifically. Like there's a point where he brought up, oh, boys don't like to braid hair, boys don't like to do nails, that's girl stuff. Well, what are you doing with the boys? Are y'all like playing with Hot Wheels? Like it's like you don't even have a connection with the boys in your class in particular. And even when you brought up the boys in your class and why you're not doing this with the boys, there's like no alternative activity that you're doing with the boys that we would consider equal to this in inappropriateness or anything like that, right? Or just anything, like whatever you're doing with these girls, there's no equivalent for the boys, which makes me feel unusual. And he doesn't talk about anything like that. Like I said earlier, I'm not saying I would be forgiving if there were boys in here doing the same thing. I would still find it inappropriate, but I would at least, it would look more innocent to me, is what I'm trying to say.
And the thing is, if he was, let's say, if he was engaging with boys in this way, if people didn't think he was straight and he had a bunch of young boys, maybe everyone is passing the clippers around, give him in a lineup, right? Would people still react the same? Or would they say, oh, you turning our sons gay, you getting them used to these gay men touching on them?
Oh, they gonna be in the comments, you're turning the boys gay, why are you letting them do hair? I already know that. Exactly. I would have been, and then I probably would have been on his side. What's gay about boys braiding? I wouldn't have even been thinking about the fact that this is a grown man and children, because I would have already been on defense mode, which I said earlier. But
and what's even weirder, and I had a teacher when I was in high school that I didn't even remember until this story came up, who he was overly friendly. And nothing ever went too far with me, but I can see now how he could have been a predator. I just don't know, and I can't remember his first name to look him up. He had young girls give him a massage before. He used to teach Sierra, because I live in Georgia, the rapper. He apparently, I mean, not rapper, the singer Sierra. And he was like, yeah, you know, people were saying, and this was back when people used to call her trans. She's like, you know, people were saying that, but I was in school when, you know, with her, she's a beautiful young girl. She's, of course. And he was like really talking about her body in a weird way that until I became an adult and remembered that, I was like, that's a weird A-word, N-word. Like, that's a weird thing to say for a grown man. And he had even introduced me to a book, and it's like a historical fiction book, and it's a graphic, awful, disgusting book. It's like 101 Days of Sodom, something like that. It's a weird title or something like that. And he told me about that book when I was in the 11th grade. And he was like, oh, but you probably shouldn't look it up. It's a little graphic. But why would a grown man be introducing children to horrifically adult materials, allowing a child to massage him, and commenting on a student's body in that way? He's a weird, I'm sorry, my default is to say he a weird ass nigga. But like, he's weird. And why is he in contact, has a method of contact with children? Never mind the fact that these are girls, period, children. When I was in high school, my teachers were like, don't even look me up until after you graduate, because I will not accept your friend request until after you are out of my classroom. And why is he so petitioning to blur the lines with the children? It doesn't make sense, because even if you're mentally healthy, you would recognize that someone could become a predator to these girls. So I don't want to blur any lines with them, because I don't want anyone else to be able to blur those lines based on what I have already shown them. Why would you feel comfortable doing that? Unless you want them to be used to that type of behavior. Unless you get some sort of thrill out of that. Maybe not fully sexual, but maybe you're getting emotional fulfillment off of that. Either way, you're inappropriate and you are weird. You're borderline a PDF. And I'm never going to back down on that. That is weird, inappropriate, borderline sexual inappropriate behavior. And no one can tell me otherwise on that. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
I don't think braiding hair is sexual at all. I do think it's intimate. Miss Danny T says he had a clip of him playing soccer with boys that I assume are also his students. I think you were saying this in response to me saying I haven't seen any videos of him doing intimate stuff with the boys in his class. And I would not consider playing soccer intimate. I don't think society collectively would consider it intimate. But if he was doing that, I mean, At least he's doing something with boys, but it's not. I wouldn't consider it equivalent to what he's doing with the girls at all. Lynn, you've been patiently waiting. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for allowing me up. So I agree with Leah, and I think the discord regarding this is like people act like the people talking about this have not been in high school or middle school before. And I do remember boundaries being crossed, teachers having favorites, and it's just a lot of boundaries. And then also just with girls, like you really have to be careful as a girl myself, but like you just really have to be careful with what you say, certain actions, like even with jobs, like male managers did not want to be in the office, like just me and them in the office. Like they always had like a third person. So I think like I disagree, not disagree, but I would say that I do see it as inappropriate, especially like no faces are blurred, and then the school's name is like it's public, and then
That's
he's
the
on
part.
live during the day.
That's the part that was really crazy. I think we were like midway through the video, and I was like, wait, nobody's face is blurred. The name of the school is right on his shirt in full view. We were gonna watch the original video, but I couldn't. I didn't feel like it was appropriate to play that on YouTube. So that was actually crazier to me than the hair. That was crazier to me than the hair. And somebody in the comments said, "Why is he on TikTok all day?" But anywho, I'm going to. Sorry, were you finished?
Oh yeah, I was done.
Okay, I'm going to play the rest of it through. It's on 1.5 because we were trying to be out in 30 minutes. That did not happen. So let me try and get through it.
What if the girls try to make a move? Bro, I'm rooted enough in my morals and ethics that in the rare case a student does overstep the boundaries that's there, because people say, oh, there's no boundaries because he would get his hair done. Bro, I got boundaries. You need to have boundaries just as a human, but hair, bro, it's hair. But in the rare case a student does overstep a boundary, it is my duty, it is my obligation to correct the behavior. Again, not all teachers are trying to take advantage of minors. Side note, I just watched this back and I look like I'm bald. I got cornrows. I just got a big ass forehead. But anyway, as I mentioned in the video, I don't have kids of my own, so my students are literally my children. I love these kids as if they were my own. Very last thing I want to do to my children is take advantage of them and harm them in any way. That's not what we're going for. That's not why I'm a teacher. People are saying, oh,
you don't love them children, you love them girls. I seen the difference in the video. Sorry. Let's continue.
Also, though, if he cared about them, why wouldn't he be protecting their privacy?
That's why you don't care about these children. You don't.
There's a whole ongoing discussion about consent for children. And honestly, I'm going to be honest. If their parents did say yes, I don't care that their parents said yes. I think you as a adult teacher that is not their family member, there's no educational benefit for them. There's no social benefit. This isn't like posting pictures of, like a classroom party. You just have them in the camera, like it's strange. And why would you not protect their privacy? You care about them so much, but you don't care about their privacy. You don't care about the fact that there are people who save seemingly innocent things and take people's faces and use them on illicit websites. You just gave them another face to add to that collection potentially. Why would you even want the thought of impropriety there or any risk to their personal safety there? I don't post anyone who on my social media, and I'm a grown adult. I'm not a teacher. I don't even, I interact with some disabled adults. I don't post them online. So it's like, why would you feel comfortable posting a minor child online? It's just, you don't actually care the way you do. You want clout or something. It's some sort of, if it's not sexual, there's some emotional gratification to him as a person that is worth more than the safety and protection of children in his classroom. And it's specifically only the girl children, clearly.
No, I don't. But I still got to put my 2 cents in, because if you've been following me, or you've seen or just scroll through a few of my videos, you can see, like, me personally, my bullshit meter or my creep or weirdo meter or radar is like dialed in. I can spot fake ass energy or a creep ass dude from a mile away. Energy never lies. So
all right. Anyway, nah, he couldn't have said that. Let me go to the next one. He couldn't have said that. That's funny.
No way you're still embarrassing.
He didn't blur their face out. But so they're doing nails, they're doing hair, and the boys are not doing nails and hair. They're just playing football, which I think most people would find appropriate. Let me see.
No,
I forgot we should have went to the comments. My apologies. Oh, no. How do I go to the comments?
no way.
Okay. 1 minute it takes a village, then it's people shaming, SMH. I don't know why people do this. It takes a village doesn't mean we want grown people to do inappropriate things with the children. I don't know why people are posing two extremes, but as a mom of a teenage girl, I see no problems with any of your interactions I've seen. You're connecting and letting them learn their skills. Another gentleman says, bro, stop explaining yourselves. If the parents and administrators are cool, then we should be cool. No, we should not. No,
Can
we
I add
should
that?
not. What's that? I was just
Can I
going to
add-
bring up the fact that I don't know how long y'all have been on the channel, but we did a live stream maybe a month or two ago because there was a school that came under fire for letting their children lick each other's toes as part of a fundraiser. The parents apparently knew, the administrators and principals knew. Not only was it going on in that school district, but the school district across the way was also doing it. And not only was it happening this year, but it was like a tradition that they did every year. And it was just going on until we found out, until it blew up and caught a news story, caught fire and spread across the whole US. And then people started putting eyes on them. So the fact that like even an entire school district and parents agree with something, I don't think makes it correct. Yeah, sorry for interrupting. Yes, toe licking. I'm about to put it in the description too. Y'all
But
need to
even
watch that.
but even with the whole comment about the village, there's still boundaries in the village.
Yeah, it takes a village. Like we should protect children, not like we should remove boundaries between teacher and student. I'm not sure how they're using sorry, I'm trying to look up this.
And while he's saying before that he wants to support Black-owned businesses or support their craft, he couldn't have bought doll heads for them to practice on. They don't cost much. If he wants to give to them, to support to them, he could have bought the nails that you use to practice on in cosmetology school, and he could have bought the dummy heads for them. He didn't have to give them his physical body to practice with.
Yeah, the idea that you create a safe space for children, by the way, I'm completely fine with. And I think most people are completely fine with it. I don't know why people keep bringing that up. Oh, but he created a safe space. He created a safe space. You can practice on a doll head. Not like a Barbie doll, but like one of those heads that they use in cosmetology school. And I think a lot of people would have been behind you for that. Again, I think the issue that people have is the intimacy of touching in someone's hair, particularly from children to a man who's not their family member at home. Sorry, let me get this off the screen. Jump scare. Let's go back one. Let's go to his next one. I watched a little bit of this. I didn't watch the full thing, but I watched it and laughed. I couldn't get through the whole thing.
The controversy that has come from this video that I posted. I wanted to come on
Not the podcast mic and anyway, sorry.
here and read some of the messages that my students are sending me. Some of the messages that they've been sending me. During this time. Hey, Bessie. I really hope that you see this message. How are you? I hope that you're okay.
I know the volume's low. He's very soft-spoken. I turned the volume all the way up, and that's just how it is. He's a very soft-spoken man. Hey, bestie, I'm not a fan of students texting their teachers generally. And also, what was it? If I feel unusual about someone like if I'm a parent, administrator, somebody, right, and I'm like, I think this behavior that you're doing with my child is inappropriate, I would feel very weird about you now texting my children like, oh my God, bestie, they just don't know the relationship we have. This is unusual, is like a light term. I feel like this is unusual. Why not confide in an adult about how terrible you feel that people are calling you pedo and stuff like that? Why are you like texting? Well, to be fair, I don't know if he texted them, but the idea that the students are texting you and this is like your, I guess, emotional backup feels unusual to me. If I'm saying if I'm in the shoes of a parent who's like, oh, this behavior is inappropriate, and then I found out you and my child are texting after I said that, and y'all are just like, no, we just have a relationship they don't understand, and we're just intimate with each other, but that doesn't mean they can. Anyway, yeah, I'm not feeling bestie. I love you, bestie. I'm not feeling that.
Exactly. And one, where are they sending you this message? Are they texting you? Why do they have your personal number if they're texting you? Are they emailing you? Is this your personal email? Why are they emailing you in your personal email if that's your personal email? You know what I'm saying?
I thought I would have the parents' number and text the parents. Maybe if I'm on a field trip. I think on field trips they give teachers numbers.
Yeah.
Outside of that, no.
Exactly. And that's also to the parent, not the child, right? And I like Lex Talk Too Much and Bodacious Bobo on TikTok. I like their takes on this for the most part. And the weird thing about it is I feel like also this plays into the adultification and the parentification of Black girls, right? Because you're on here crying. You're basically almost seeking for these girls to emotionally comfort you, right? So now they're taking on the role of therapist, parent, adult, where they're now accepting and holding space for your emotions. They are children. They should not be holding your emotions for you. And I say this as someone who, when I was in high school, I constantly had teachers telling me their personal business. I had one teacher, a Spanish teacher with horrible low self-esteem, who was constantly crying to me. And I mean, that sounds callous, but it's also like, what do you expect the child to say to you? Now, granted, I was very nice to her. But anyway, you should not have a child in these roles for you. You shouldn't have them feeling like, oh, nothing we're doing is inappropriate. That is not for you as a child to say. You could feel that way, but you shouldn't give a child the space to say that for you. Not in this situation where it veers off into good touch, bad touch, you know? I don't see any possible way where in an adult person's mind who interacts with minors who says this is something that's okay to do. And they are not somewhere in their brain crossing boundaries. It doesn't make sense to me. It does not. It doesn't.
Dove in the chat had mentioned that he's like grooming them to like do free labor for just boys and men. Like, you know, the thing with the therapist, they're doing their hair, that's just like free labor.
Exactly. And it feeds into the culture. I think Bourbon Bougie did a video on that, where it's almost like the culture is anything for Black men at the expense of Black women and Black girls, where these girls are being groomed into servitude positions for a grown adult man. You mean to tell me you as a grown adult man couldn't schedule a hair appointment to give you 10 minutes to take your hair out? You can take the time to do it yourself. Also, Black men get a lot of leeway when they're in any sort of quote unquote good position, especially if they're in a Black community. They get so much grace and leeway thrown at them. You could have taken your own hair down clearly, because the girls take your hair down for you. You could have took your own hair down. You're over there typing away at the computer. If you had something to do, then why didn't you plan around it? Why? You didn't feel a need to because you expected the labor and servitude of Black girls. And then all the girls in that classroom see it's perfectly normal for me to take classroom time, education time, perhaps even my free time to care and labor for some man that's not even related to me, some man that I did not birth, you know, I mean, of course, we're not expecting them to birth at their age, they're kids, but you get what I'm saying. Like, there's this expectation of Black women and Black girls to labor for and compensate for the continual shortcomings of Black men in every facet of society. And if a Black man is doing any semblance of something that's not the absolute worst, we have to praise be, you know, for the modicum of anything that they do. Because if we don't, then, well, you're feeding into why they don't want to. You're hurting their feelings. So now they can't be a productive member of society because their feelings were hurt. And it's the coddling and the pimping of Black women and Black girls starts so young. Yeah.
So I don't think he's directly teaching them servitude. I think he is normalizing the part of patriarchy whereby women are caretakers to men. So specifically at the, I think, beginning of the video where he was in the car and he was explaining why only the girl students were doing his hair and not the boys. And then he showed the video of him with the girls and they were doing his nails, they were doing his hair, and then the boys were just outside with him playing soccer. Like I said in the beginning, I think this could have been a opportunity for him to break the type of gender role where women are doing this type of service work, right? Or even encouraging the boys to do this type of service work if you're really just hell-bent on having your students do your hair and nails for some reason, and if it's just something you will not go without. So I will say it's teaching servitude in that sense of reinforcing what I believe is patriarchal roles. But I don't think it's direct. Of course, I don't think you're saying it's direct either, obviously. And then Lynn, did you have anything before we continue?
No, I didn't have anything to add.
Okay.
Our class misses you so much, and we really want you to know that we love you and we miss you so much.
Oh, someone said as the soccer clip, he didn't have them washing the car or doing something to service him.
I can't wait for you to come back. I can't believe that taking somebody's hair out is such a big deal, and it makes me so mad that people make little things big things. I want you to know that the class and others got your back, and we will always stand behind you.
Again, I think I don't know. It seems weird. It just seems weird because if you are being called out for some behavior, right, and you're being called out by adults, why would you go to children for affirmation that this behavior is right instead of adults? Like, why would you not go to adults and be like, hey, is this okay? Like, a child is a child. Children don't understand concepts to the capacity that adults do, even if they're teenagers, right? And teenagers are not like stupid and they're not like 3-year-olds, right? Obviously, child is a large range from 0 to 18. But even as teenagers, these are people without fully developed brains. These are people without fully developed concepts on the world. These are people who don't have the capacity in a way that an adult has to understand things. So why would you go to a child and take a child's affirmation on this specifically? Feels unusual to me.
Yeah. And I will say perhaps teaching is the wrong word, but I think it is a lesson that the girls in the classroom are learning, which is girls are for servitude, boys are able to have free time and leisure, right? Because when he's with the boys, he's playing a game. They are all participating in the game of soccer. But in the classroom, the girls are doing his nails. They are doing his hair. They are assisting him and aiding him to help his life be easier. So while it may not be, a literal, teaching, I think that we are taught by the cultural behaviors that are expected upon us. So is it teaching directly? Okay. But is it still something that they are teaching in terms of how they are expected to behave in society and things that they should be used in ways that they should be used to performing? Yes.
and out for you no matter what happens. We got you. Again, we miss you and we love you so much. And can't wait for you to come back. I wish that this never happened because it feels like we're losing you. Come back soon. Don't be gone too long because if you're not back by Monday, I know something's up. But anyways, I also made sure that the classroom was clean before we left. Love you, missed you. Love you, miss you. See you later. Hi, Mr. White. We've been seeing all this stuff going on, and so has your other former students. And I just want you to know that we're standing with you. I'm literally in my junior year of high school right now, and seeing all this, you were my and many others' favorite teacher. Many of Many of your students and former students are doing our best to advocate for you. You're one of the few teachers that made me really feel like I had a voice and opinion. and not only
Wait, does he have background music in this? Or am I
Yes, I
tripping?
think he
Hold up.
did.
Let
I
me.
think he
that
did.
you made learning fun and encouraging. At the end of the day, some people won't understand.
And I
that some
think the
adults
name
don't
of
have
it
to-
is soft, sad guitar music, if I'm
No,
not mistaken.
I'm not about to. Sorry.
I wanted to. Oh,
No, you can go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, I think that is the soft side guitar music. But to me, you know, this is actually manipulative from how I'm perceiving it, and I can't make a judgment on whether he's trying to be manipulative or not. I have noticed with my experience working in schools, middle schools, elementary, high school, now teaching college. Um, I actually have been an advocate for like, okay, I want more men to be teachers, especially black men, because I like to teach in black neighborhoods, black or Latino neighborhoods. Like that's just like my purpose, my calling. I like to serve those communities. And so sometimes it does make me sad when a lot of the boys, they don't really have a reflection of them there. But sometimes when those teachers are there, whether they mean to or not, it seems to be a lack of foresight and discernment and some behaviors that they should have.
Oh,
Or
this is not a lack of foresight. His live stream is a lack of foresight. Doing
right,
the children doing your hair on live, and you number one posting these children on the TikTok unblurred and the school name and all this, but also them doing your hair, which is something that's very controversial and a lot of people see as intimate. That was a lack of foresight. Making the video after, oh, I'm about to make y'all hot with this one. I saw y'all in the comments saying y'all think this is wrong. Well, look at this, they're doing my hair. Then making another video, well, look at this, they're doing my hair again in my nails. And then making a third video, yes, I would let my daughter go play in another grown man's hair as long as they're closed. And then doing this, like doubling down over and over and over and over again, has nothing to do with foresight. That first video, maybe if he had a came out after the live stream, right? I completely see why you guys say that's inappropriate, but me personally, I don't feel like braiding hair is inappropriate, but I completely understand why everyone, right? If you had a came out, you might have had my sympathy
maybe.
if it was a lack of foresight, but the fact that you double, triple, quadruple down on it over and over again, and you are just, it feels like I'm being gaslit. Oh my God, why would anyone see anything wrong with this? We just have a special connection, and they're like my like, at least acknowledge why people are calling you out and give us some type of affirmation instead of what feels like a gaslight. Why would anyone feel like this is inappropriate? Do you really need to ask that question?
Well, it also feels like, I think what really the straw that broke the camel's back for me is when he's making the sad guitar music video. To me, it felt like, and I, like I said, I don't want to assume, but I'm sorry, I can't go past my gut. I have to trust my gut. It was like it was a smoke signal to those girls because he knows that they're watching and he knows how much the students, he's probably like one of the favorite teachers and all that. And it's probably true. Those kids probably really do like him. But like you had mentioned earlier, it's very weird to get critiqued and chastised as an adult by other adults for inappropriate behavior. And then you go and make a video kind of doubling down on it, reading the text that students are sending you after you've been put on administrative leave, which is just also That's a whole nother conversation. But you know, it seemed like he was trying to get them riled up. And a lot of times, like, you know, with teenagers, it's age appropriate for them to turn against adults who are just trying to look out for their best interest. You know what I mean? Because they don't have a full understanding of how these things can go. And I know that there's been debates on whether he's a groomer or not. We could debate that or whatever, but I don't think it's a lie that oftentimes when you blur the lines between boundaries and those emotional connections between teenage and teacher, it can get super weird super fast. And then for him to get online and really placate himself as a victim that everyone's trying to tear down, that's further upsetting those students. Yeah, that no, it's a no for me.
Thank you. I'm gonna try to get through this because we were supposed to be out in 30 minutes. We're touching an hour.
Not only that you made learning fun and encouraging, at the end of the day, some people won't understand that some adults genuinely have a good heart. And it comes have a good heart when it comes to dealing with children, and that's probably never going to change. But you know, we know parents, staff, etc. None that there knows that there has never been anything weird going on, and that there was never any insinuation of that. The people that actually matter know where your heart is, and that's all that matters. During COVID, you quite literally helped me through my 8th grade year by just being an adult I knew I could go to if I was having any problems. Continue being you, and don't let anyone change that. For the GOAT, what's up, Mr. White? I know that your situation may not be looking the best, but just know that you'll get through it, and we all know your real intentions. Remember,
I can't. I'm sorry. Let's go to the next one if there is one.
saw the
Oh wait, the comments. Y'all in here laughing, and this is someone's life, and he actually cares about his students and support their future. He's misspelled there. Well, he used the wrong there. It's you would use THEIR, not THERE. So maybe he could have used a teacher in his childhood, and maybe he longs for that teacher that he did not have, right? And so he sympathizes with this man, perhaps. Another person says the fact that people in the comments laughing, y'all lame for real, gang, this kid, y'all lame for real, gang, this kids love this man, and kids feel safe with him. There is not grammar in these comments. I wanted to spoil this for you guys. Y'all are harsh in these comments. He seems like a nice dude. He loves his students. We gonna stand behind you. Someone said he really doesn't get it. Somebody said not the podcast mic. Somebody said you said you wanted to steer the pot. Uh-oh, we got to the comments that don't like him. Uh-oh. Oh, here we're back. You don't deserve this. We need more educators like you that genuinely care about your students. What people are upset with is not that he genuinely cares about his students. What people are upset with is his behavior. I feel like that's being missed. Like, do people in the comments think that the problem that people have with this man is that he genuinely cares about his students, or that his students feel comfortable with him? I don't think that's the problem that people have, or at least that's not the problem that I have. It's specifically, thank you, TikTok, for giving me the reminder. It's time to take a TikTok break. You've had 20 minutes of uninterrupted TikTok. But specifically, people have an issue with this specific behavior. Now we're going to go to some of his other videos because people were saying that he was apparently doing some stuff with a child that we'll look at, since it's yeah, I think Cultural brought it up, the emo video. And then there was one, I forgot what the other one was, so we'll learn together. I'll go to my saved. But yeah, the issue isn't that people don't like that he has a connection with his students, right? I've had a connection with some of my teachers before. One of my, y'all remember my professor came up and we did the video when they were making anti-trans laws and anti-LGBT laws. And they were like, okay, same-sex people, you can't put pictures of your husband or wife on your desk or blah, 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 right? They were making some laws that seemed like they were discriminating against LGBT. I brought my professor on, and me and her talked about our experience in school and growing up and stuff. And like, she's one of my favorite professors. I feel like we have a close relationship. And like my whole class, we loved her, but we were not playing in each other's hair. Like, I feel like you can have this connection with your students without this level of intimacy. This is the last video he had on the matter. He says, they won't show you these.
You want to share too? All right, you go next. All right, give me 2 boxes. Where are you sharing from?
What does he teach? This is all over the place. I'm actually really curious what he teaches. I think science, maybe.
Check. We get a drip check. How much did it cost?
The easiest
Drip check.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I forgot where I got these pants from. They probably like 100. Hoodie, custom made, so priceless.
Well, it looks like he's just showing clips of himself bonding with the students in just his daily life at the school and his interactions with the school. But the issue is, nobody is upset at you for doing a drip check when your students walk in the room who has on the coolest clothes today, or doing a backflip at the court. Nobody is upset at you for having a close relationship with these children in ways that are appropriate, right? People have an issue specifically with letting them braid your hair, do your nails. And it seems like physical touch in this way is what people have the issue with, as well as you guys bringing up the issue of servitude for the female students particularly. So like, if you put a video online of you touching your students' thighs, you don't just post a video and be like, oh, but look at me doing high fives when they walk into the classroom. They won't show you this side. Well, this side is not what people are upset at. They would be upset at the touching the thighs, right? So I don't understand what this, maybe as like trying to put out, maybe he's trying to disseminate a good image to combat all of the stuff that's going on TikTok about him. But outside of that, I don't think this is like a legitimate pushback against what people are saying they have an issue with. Again, it feels like everybody is everywhere but the point. People are in the comments like, oh my God, what's wrong with being close to your students? And what's wrong with, did y'all never have a teacher that you were close to? And that's not where everybody is talking about, at least insofar as people who have an issue. So I don't understand people not addressing at all the specific thing that people have the issue with, which was the physically touching your students physically touching you, specifically the female students. Sorry. Now, somebody brought up the emo video. Let me see if I have it in my saved.
That's that same freaky ass teacher. That girl's clearly in high school. You see them bathrooms?
Hey man, this was what.
Well, we're not gonna see the original video. It looks like we're gonna see. Hold up. Here, teacher emo girl. Maybe if I search that. All right, I got onto White Talk. Hold up. Black teacher.
I think I found it on Twitter.
If you have a link, put it in the all right, I'm not gonna find it searching like that. We could just watch this one. So apparently there's a high school girl and she's like, I only F with emo boys. And this was his response. He was shirtless and
That's that same freaky ass teacher. That girl's clearly in high school. You see them bathrooms?
Hey man, this is what I was trying to tell you, man. And I'm not saying he's innocent or guilty of anything. I'm just saying this is further proof of why we have to let boundaries be boundaries, and why we cannot play the blurred line when it comes to children. There has to be a black and white at all times. And if you get out of line and you're in a professional setting, well, you have to know the consequences. Now let's focus on this video real quick. So in the video, we clearly see a high school age girl trying to show off her exterior. And in the video, her caption is, I only date emo boys. So essentially she's insinuating that she's advertising for emo boys, or, you know, other boys like her. So the teacher then makes a video pretending to be an emo boy. kind of insinuating that, hey, if she emo, I'm emo too. But hey, man, that's just me. Y'all let me know what y'all think.
Thank you for that breakdown, sir. We really needed that. Thank you. You put it in the back. Because he didn't explain a thing. Basically, when she said she like emo boys, he said he's an emo boy. And so this means that he's trying to say he's emo. Anyway, why that breakdown was useless. But this was the video. I'm going to turn off the music since it's copyright.
Heard of closing the Jackson, be quiet. Shut the fuck up.
Period. I love that for him. And it won't let me see the comments. Oh, y'all know I love the comments. So, any thoughts on the emo video before we get into it?
I don't know when he recorded the video. I mean, I think somebody said that this was from when he was a teenager. I don't know how true this is. I don't know where they found the video. But listen, when it comes to protecting children, I'm not going to have a conversation too long about why you don't understand boundaries. And then when I start seeing videos like that, all these little red flags that keep popping up, I think that a lot of people, like you said, they're intentionally missing the point because they're trying to protect this guy's image, which no one said that your teachers didn't like you. I knew a teacher that was very popular when I was in the 9th grade. And by the end of the year, he got fired because he was watching child porn on the computer classrooms in the high school. No one expected it. Everyone loved them. I'm not saying that this guy's not doing that, but I just feel like, especially a lot of times when it comes to Black girls, we see all these signs and inappropriate behaviors and boundaries being blurred. And we just say, well, I don't know. Well, maybe it's not like that. And we should give them the benefit of the doubt. And it's just kind of like ridiculous to me. And it feels disingenuous sometimes.
Thank you. And also, Purple Lover, I see you just hopped up. Did you have anything you wanted to say?
Yeah, I just think that he's not recognizing how he's blurring boundaries,
What?
especially when you get to this.
It sounds like you're a little far away. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me better now?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. You can go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say he's blurring boundaries like significantly. When you get to the emo video, it just did not sit well with me because, like, eventually he should have been aware that this was a young girl that he was interacting with, and yet and still the video remains up for all to see. So with his actions, you kind of have to question what his intention is behind what he's doing. And that's what he's acting like. He's acting like he lives in a bubble where women aren't constantly being violated. And he's setting these young girls up to think that it's safe for them to do this like with any random man. Because it was safe when they did it with him, right? So why wouldn't it be safe if some other random dude asked them to do their hair? Why wouldn't they think that was okay too? That's all I have to say for right now.
Oli, you were about to say something.
Oh, yeah, to the cool teacher thing. I remember when I was in high school, there was a cool security guard, super cool. A lot of people liked him. He wound up getting fired because he was messing around with some of the girls. There was another teacher. Everyone hated going to his classroom. I didn't have him as a teacher, but one of my friends did, because he would always make the girls come up to the front of the classroom and they had a question, never the boys. And most of us put together that it was because he wanted to see their behinds when they walked back to their desk. I still remember when me and my friend were walking to class together, and I always had a jacket on, And this day, she usually had a jacket on too, but she forgot her jacket. And she was like, hey, I'm about to go to basically Mr. Creeper's class. Can I borrow your jacket? Specifically because everyone knew if you were a girl and you had a question in that class, you were the one who had to get up and ask the question. All the boys in the classroom could sit. Now, everyone knows that. I knew that. I wasn't even in his class. Clearly, there's something wrong, right? But did it ever get called out? I don't even know if it ever got called out. When clearly that man was a predator, right? And there's so much leeway. And I live in a black area. I'm black. My friend was black. He was black. Now, granted, there were a lot of my teachers were white as well, but we lived in a black area. We're in Georgia. We're not far outside of Atlanta, and there's so much leeway given to the culture of silence around male inappropriate behavior. And the only time people brought up that lady with the braids was in this case. Before this, people, and I barely heard of people about it. But as soon as people were like, yeah, that's inappropriate, they had to find someone who was doing the same thing just to say, well, why aren't you talking about her too? Why aren't you talking about her? Why didn't you talk about her when it first happened? Because you know the likelihood of her being a predator and the likelihood of him being a predator is clearly two different cases. And I think it's awful that when all we are doing is saying, hey, even if he's not inappropriate with them, even if he's not trying to be inappropriate with them, this is inappropriate. It's a lack of safety. It's a lack of emotional safety. And even if he doesn't do something, this is going to create it to where maybe those girls don't notice when it happens with someone who's not safe. And everyone's like, well, your mind's in a bad place. No, there's something wrong with teaching children to be okay with touching strangers. And why do you want girls to be used to that? Why do you want girls to be used to unpaid labor as children? This is not Missouri. This is not children working, laboring with the parent signing off that they can braid and unbraid his hair. This is class time. They should be learning. Honestly, if we want to be keeping a stack about it, what about the Black literacy rates? How has he contributed to whatever grade or whatever he's teaching? Are they above grade level? Are they at grade level? Are they below grade level? You're focusing on hair, but are you teaching the children? And sure, there is something to be said for emotional safety. There is, but it's inappropriate. And even if you're not inappropriate, you're teaching them that there is some place where lines can be blurred, and lines can't be blurred with children. Too many young girls are taken advantage of to allow a culture that believes it's okay. It's okay. He's not being inappropriate. But what about when he does become inappropriate? And now you don't know the difference. And I think it's a shame that we don't protect our young girls. We don't protect our young girls. And even when people are trying to give them any semblance of protection, there's such a visceral pushback against it that it's like, this isn't genuine. This is sickness. There is a true sickness in our community that seeks women and girls to be beneath and to be serving people constantly to the detriment of ourselves. And it's weird. And we can say it's this, it's that, it's trauma. It doesn't matter where it came from. If we're recognizing it now, you should be all in favor of stopping it now. Protect Black girls, protect Black women. That's all I'm ever going to advocate for. To be honest, it's always going to be fuck these things where I'm coming from. But, protect Black women and girls. That's all.
Does anyone else have anything to add before we close out? Going once.
Yes, I feel like it's our obligation as the adults, especially for teachers. Teachers are supposed to be teaching children how to conduct themselves also in society. Blurring lines does not do any favors for anyone. And the fact that he doesn't seem to understand it is all the more reason why I feel like it was appropriate for them to fire him. Because we need to make sure that we are teaching how to have clear boundaries. And what he's doing is highly inappropriate. And for him to not understand why that would be inappropriate and the potential danger he's putting these children in is deplorable to me. Thanks so much for having me, Prince Petty, as always. I enjoy you so much.
Of course. Thank you for joining.
And you look handsome, by the way.
Thank you, because this one braid is sticking up. But if I
I know
go
what that feels
if I
like.
go over here with the white background, you can see it stick up. But once I'm like right here, the bear kind of blends in a little bit. So I'm gonna stay right there. Did
Have a
he get?
good. I'm
Thank you.
sorry.
You too.
Have a good. Have a good night, everyone. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. Be safe.
Happy Mother's Day, everybody. Dark Bliss, did he get fired? I think he's on administrative leave, but I can't confirm that. I've heard different things, none of which I've seen proof for. But administrative leave seems like what seems to be the general consensus so far. So, to recap, I think what upset me the most about this is his reaction to it all. What upset me the most isn't the braiding, actually, because let me see. I believe he could have had a lapse in judgment. For someone to have a lapse in judgment, I'm more forgiving than I am someone who does something intentionally, knows it's bad, right? So the idea that he gets on the live stream and this behavior he finds completely appropriate, right? And there's nothing that he believes is intimate about braiding hair. And if it is intimate, then it's not inappropriate. Blase, blase, blah. That might have not upset me as much, right? But it's after the live stream, the seeing that there are parents and adults who find this behavior inappropriate and who are reprimanding you on the live stream should have been an opportunity for you to step back and say, and not even to say anything, but to step back and think and really, you could have stepped back and took a moment to try to understand why people might have an issue with this and address that, and maybe not do the behavior anymore, right? I think you could have gotten more sympathy from me had you have done that, but instead you doubled down and there's this sort of just what feels like feigning ignorance of why anyone would find this inappropriate at all, and a sort of, if you find it inappropriate, you're the problem, not me. And it just doesn't feel like there's any reflection on what you've done at all. And then of course there's the students affirming you through text messages, and it feels like you are, instead of seeking adults' opinion on this, instead of seeking adults for an understanding of this situation, it seems like when he's reading his students' text messages, he's kind of affirming himself and his behavior is okay through these children, but they're children. They're not adults. They don't have the ability to conceptualize things like adults do. So using them to affirm your beliefs is inappropriate. As an adult, it is inappropriate. And if you really do believe that this behavior is completely okay, you should have went to some adults to discuss whether or not it was okay instead of having your children affirm you. Not that I think there's anything wrong with children reaching out because they're sad their teacher might be fired, right? We all wrote a card because my teacher had cancer, was bedridden. We wanted him to do better. We were sad that he was leaving. I don't find anything inappropriate about a child feeling upset about their teacher going through something and wanting to reach out and affirm, right? And extend sympathy and love, right, to their teacher. Well, love loosely. I'm using love loosely because I had some teachers who I loved, but like not like my parents. I don't love them like my personal family, right? Associates, let's say that. I love them like my associates. But the point is, I find it inappropriate for you to use those children to affirm your feelings. And I think you should do some self-reflection. He's not watching this, but if he is, I feel like you should do some self-reflection on what was done and why people might find it inappropriate, and address that in a way that's legitimate and not dismissive, instead of saying y'all are just traumatized and y'all are just sexualizing everything and I'm pure and what we have is pure. Like, take a moment to be in. When you're a trusted adult, I feel like you have a responsibility to address people's concerns. Now, to be fair, none of us are, to my knowledge, have children in your class. So I would expect you to face and address backlash from the people who are actually in your class, not necessarily the entire internet, if I'm being fair. But I would still take these concerns as legitimate, and I would try to treat them with some merit. Thank you, by the way. If any one of you wanted to hop down and I'm just talking for too long and you had something to say, but you can't hop down until you say it, please let me know, because I will give you your 30 seconds before I continue rambling, by the way. But going once.
I was just gonna say, and then I'll hop down. I'm not sure. I can't verify this, but I did see some scuttlebutt about him confirming that the parents were actually okay with it, and basically it was everyone else who had a problem, but the parents didn't understand why everyone was making a big deal about it. So yeah. Thanks, Petty.
Thank you. If the parents don't see an issue with it, I don't care. I don't care. I care more about the behavior and not necessarily if the parents think it's okay. Because he thinks it's okay. But anywho, Lee, if you have anything before I continue. Going once.
All right, so then I'll say mine and then I'll drop too. But what I was going to say, as far as if those parents didn't see anything wrong with it, and I'm not going to say those parents have bad judgment. I am going to say there are parents who have bad judgment. There are parents who, wasn't that abducted in plain sight story where like that man came in, took over her life, and was also not only molesting and R-ing her, but sleeping with her parents. I think that happened. I'm pretty sure that's that story of abducted and plain sight. So clearly not all parents have judgment. Also, I will say, even if the parents agreed, we live in a culture that has rewarded and extolled the values of subjugation to Black men, especially when they're doing anything above the bare minimum. So I would say there's a cultural impairment that may lead their children to being vulnerable, right? So even if they agreed, I feel like as a good, sensible adult, when you saw the backlash of people saying, hey, this is weird, and for you to not pause and say, is that weird? But even if it's not, just for the sake of everyone involved, I'm going to pull it, because I don't want people putting anything negative on my students, because I care so much for my students. I don't want them feeling like they're doing something wrong. I don't want them internalizing anything. So I'm going to take it down for their sake. I think there's something wrong for someone to continue in that behavior. And for a parent to agree with that, or to see it and not think that there's any boundary crossed, I would think there's some level of impairment there. I'm not saying that they're mentally delayed, but perhaps the culture that they're a part of and raised in has left them with a impaired level of preservation to themselves and perhaps their children. Yeah. But yeah, protect Black women, protect Black girls, care for yourselves, care for other Black women, give ourselves grace. Don't give Black men grace as much as possible. Yeah, that's all I had to say.
Thank you. I can continue my ramble. So that was Lee. I think that's the first time Lee's come up, so welcome. I can continue my ramble. I've heard a few critiques of this. I want to touch on something Lee said as well when it comes to your interpretation of this behavior, right? Whether or not you think it's appropriate or not, why not err on the side of caution? Why not err on the side of caution, especially when it comes to children? It's a waiver to, so they signed a waiver. Hold up, let me scroll back up because the waiver is to all photos and record. I think we addressed this earlier. So some of you are hopping in late, but I think earlier in the video, my understanding of the waiver that everyone signs, the parents sign in the beginning of the year in the student code of conduct contract and all of that. My understanding is that this is for the school district or the school, the individual school, to have recording photograph of your children, but it's for professional purposes. Like if you were to post it on the high school's track website, pictures of the children competing in track, or if you were to post some pictures of them on the, one second, I'm trying to pull up this screen as well. I'm trying to look at an example of where you might see a child posted on a school's Facebook or something like that. I don't know what high schools are around here. Let me just find. See if I can blur the blurb. But like I'm on this high school page, and there might be like, this is the FCLA club, and here are some of the kids doing advisement programs. Nope, they only got one picture. Here are some kids at the international dinner that they held. There's a newsletter. Looks like some drama kids, theater kids. Theater kids, I hate theater. Anyway, but yeah, in a professional purpose, and specifically on a school district's website or on a school district's Facebook page or wherever have you, this would not be like any individual teacher can take pictures of your kid and put them on his personal Facebook page, right? So that's my understanding of how the waiver works. Again, I'm not an educator, I'm not an advisor, counselor, principal. I'm not like in a school system, and I've never worked in a school system to know, and I've never signed children up for school. So that's something that you can't take my word for. I don't have experience in that area at all. That's just my understanding of how the waiver works. So to the people saying that, oh, he had a waiver to record, I don't believe he had waivers unless he went and asked the parents for those waivers specifically for those individual students himself to record them and put them like on his personal Facebook page or TikTok, in which case, sure, he did have permission in that way. But I don't think he went and got a slip from them. Like the other, let me see. Like even the videos he showed where they weren't doing inappropriate things like playing soccer. I don't know if he has permission to post that on his private page, is what I'm saying. Even if it weren't something that was like controversial. But in those cases, those are like school activities that you're actually doing. Like he was recording pep rallies and such things. But anywho, before we get into this video, it's very short. It's only 35 seconds. I saw a lot of critiques, and I want to try to go through some of them because some of them have me confused. The first one I wanted to go through is that they're trying to bring a man down. I've seen they're trying to bring a black man down and blah, 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 blah. We all know how this works, right? And I feel like this is the wrong time and the wrong place for this critique. And I don't understand why this defense in particular is always used to defend weird behavior. Like, why do people invoke this defense when it's Bill Cosby and R. Kelly getting in trouble for inappropriate behavior? They invoke the, oh, y'all are just trying to bring a black man down, instead of like actually looking at people's critique of the behavior that's going on, right? So I feel like I would just dismiss that critique. The second critique I've been hearing this one is a lot, is that y'all are just traumatized. Y'all are just traumatized, and y'all have been touched as kids, and y'all were awed by these teachers, and so every single thing that you see a male teacher do, you now envision it inherently sexual or through a traumatized lens, right? That's surprisingly a comment that I've been seeing a lot. That feels incredibly dismissive, first of all. The idea that someone may have trauma because they've been touched by a teacher, right? And for you to invoke that as a way to dismiss their critique is incredibly dismissive, right, of people who may have experienced trauma. But secondly, I don't think these people experience trauma. Like the way there was a girl who made a video responding to this, and she was like, I'm a teacher, I'm an educator, this is inappropriate, and a man shouldn't be touching a child's hair like this. And there could have been a different way for you to have these girls braiding. They could have, right? And a lot of the comments were like, you're just a traumatized woman who's been touched. So you are just inserting malice, and you're projecting your trauma onto the behavior he's doing, but there's not actually anything wrong with what he's doing. You're just traumatized, so you see it through a traumatized lens. And she made a response video, and she was like, nope, I have never been touched. I have never been AR'd. My teacher has never done anything to me, because my parents, like I'm saying, do not allow this behavior and find this behavior inappropriate. So they shut this down whenever there is a man trying to do anything to me. They shut this down. So no, it's not invoked by trauma, right? So the idea that people are just attributing people's critique of this behavior to you're traumatized is incredibly dismissive, and I feel like means they don't have an actual pushback against people's critique. So they're just trying to discredit you by saying you're traumatized. Secondly, even if the person is actually traumatized, right? Even if your teacher has braided your hair and it was a braid the hair to sexual assault pipeline, right? Even if that's something that happened to you, why is a traumatized person's critique dismissed by some people, right? Why is, oh, you're traumatized, so I'm not going to take your opinion because you're just projecting? Feels unusual, because the idea is a traumatized person is like, oh, my teacher braided my hair and then started touching me, and this was like an introduction to grooming. And you're like, oh, well, I'm dismissing what you said because you're traumatized. But we're talking about a person doing the same behavior that you're saying is traumatizing the person, and then you are dismissing that person's critique and allowing the behavior that traumatized them to happen to other girls. This is not, like, do you not understand that you are enabling this trauma to happen? If you're going to dismiss someone as traumatized because they experienced this behavior, why would you allow this behavior that you're saying is traumatizing the person you're talking to continue, right? So I found the you're traumatized comments to be very distasteful and dismissive, and I don't think they're valid, and I would dismiss those critiques as well. The third idea is that he is the children are safe with him and they feel comfortable with him. Again, this is not it feels like no one's actually talking about the behavior. Like, again, I brought up the teacher rubbing the child's thighs in his classroom. Your defense for this wouldn't be, oh, but they're comfortable with him. Yeah, this isn't about the children being comfortable with their teacher, which most people have no issue with. I would hope we've all had a teacher who we can confide in if something's going on, or who we love to go to their class because their class is so amazing and blah, 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 right? No one has an issue, I think, with the teacher who gives you DAP. Everybody has their own unique DAP when we walk in the class. Nobody has an issue with the students being comfortable with you. Again, they have issue against a specific behavior. And the fact that the children are comfortable doing that behavior with you does not make it correct, right? But also, I have an issue with, I don't feel like he's protecting the children, right? Because like we looked at the videos, they're in full view of the camera. None of their faces are blurred. The name of the school is in clear view. And I don't understand someone who cares about children putting them out here, not on like a school website, not on the school Facebook page, but on your TikTok, in a controversial video that you know is controversial, and then reposting them in another controversial video saying, let's steer the pot because y'all were hot over this, and then another video, and then another video, and then another video. This doesn't feel like someone who cares about children, right? And if you do, you're doing a poor job of it. In my opinion, you're doing a poor job if you're willing to put these people out here on blast on the internet where they're going to be forever. I also don't think this was a mistake because of what I just said, right? And we've been saying this throughout the live stream, but the initial live stream he did, I would attribute to a mistake had he not done live stream after live stream after live stream. Again, it could have been an opportunity for you to step back and try to understand why people find this behavior inappropriate. And even if you don't see an issue with it, maybe you would have said, oh, well, because there's so much controversy around this, and because even if I find this appropriate, this seems to be a hotly debated topic, right? I'm not going to say everyone in the world finds it inappropriate, because as y'all saw in the comments, plenty of people were like, I would love for my child to go to school and play in the teacher's hair. I don't know why, but plenty of people were down in the comments saying that. So this seems to be a hot topic and a highly debated topic, whether or not it's appropriate for these people to be touching his hair at all. Why not err on the side of caution is what I said earlier. And why not say, because it's hotly debated, maybe I'll just not do the behavior. Maybe it might be better to just not do the behavior if it's such a hotly debated topic. I don't think what he did is, I don't know if it's illegal. I do think it's debatable. I didn't think it was debatable, but the way most of the comments I'm seeing are like, why are y'all upset that they were braiding the hair? So apparently this is highly debated whether or not this is appropriate. But yeah, I don't think he thought critically about what he was doing the first time he posted it. But after that, you now have an opportunity to, but the fact is he has not extended an apology, and he only continues to double and triple down. So I'm trying to place myself in his shoes for a second, right? Again, I'm not an educator or a counselor, administrator in any school system, but I'm going to try, right? I'm recording my students. I'm not blurring their faces or school name, and I'm putting them on the internet where their likeness will remain forever. But let's ignore that part. My students are touching my hair in a way that I feel is completely fine and appropriate, right? Maybe he doesn't believe touching hair is intimate or inappropriate for children to do with a trusted adult, right? Or maybe if he does believe it's intimate, he believes it's still appropriate. Now let's say while I'm live streaming this, there are comments praising this, but there are also a great number of comments saying this is wildly inappropriate. What do you do after this stream? I feel like the first thing you would do is ask yourself the question, why is this wildly inappropriate? Or try to put yourself in these people's shoes and ask, why are they uncomfortable with their child touching your hair, right? Instead of coming out in defense mode, because he came out in defense mode and he was like responding to comments. Of course, I would let my child, if it was a man like me, of course I would let them touch his hair and braid his hair and stuff like that. So it feels like he went in defense mode instead of thinking critically about what he was doing. Someone in the comments said he had a lack of foresight. I think Leah said that when she was up here as well. Poor judgment. Yes, I agree. And then optics, right? If we're even outside of morality, right? Optically, what does this look like? What does this look like? Most of the comments I'm seeing talking about male teachers is like, oh, I work at a school. My male teachers are scared to even be in the room with a female student alone. My male teachers, whenever a female student want to talk to them, they have to go get another person and put them in the room. And if they think the female student has contraband, then they need to go get a female teacher to search them. They don't want anything to do with it. Like, just optically, do you not understand how this looks? Because it seems like he doesn't understand how this looks. And like I said earlier, that worries me, because regardless of if you think it's right or wrong, I want you to be able to understand why people see a problem with this optically, why they have a problem with this, and be able to engage with that idea. And if you can't, that worries me, because you're around children and you don't know things that look bad or are bad. right? If I have, let's switch to like a black male child in the school. If I have a black male child at the school and you have them outside playing with toy guns and there's a police station across the street, and I'm like, I don't want my child playing with toy guns outside at this school. My child is a black boy. You might not think that playing with a toy gun is inappropriate. I don't think it's inappropriate. I think it's completely fine for a child to do. But you should at least understand why I don't want my black boy outside playing with a toy gun across from the police station. And if you don't understand that, then that makes me feel like my child is unsafe in your hands. So that was just something that I find similar, right, to this situation, which is why I brought up the black boy and the toy gun. I want him to understand why people see this optically as a problem, even if he disagrees with it being a problem. I want him to be able to say, in the scenario I gave, I think playing with a toy gun is completely fine, but I completely understand why you don't want your child playing with a toy gun outside. I completely understand what it looks like. I completely understand the dangers that you might be afraid of. I want him to extend that. But he was dismissive and defensive. And when he were addressing people who had an issue with that, I think he was like, man, I'm not one of those teachers who y'all think every teacher, like, you could have came at this like, I completely understand why you guys are afraid. I am not, I want to assure you that I know the concerns you have. I know what teachers do and how they take advantage of their students' trust. And I know that there are teachers out there who groom children, blah, blah. Like I feel like it would have affirmed a lot of people for you to even just acknowledge the dangers that people were afraid of, even if you don't feel like you're that person personally. I think it would have done a lot of good. But it's all of these things in combination that I think make me feel less and less trusting of him specifically, right? It's like every new video that he puts out breeds less trust for me. You put out the live stream, I'm like, okay, maybe it was a mistake. You put out the first video and you double down, and I'm like, okay, maybe he just wanted to start a conversation. He said, let's heat up the pot or whatever, right? Then he posts another video. Then he posts a video dismissing everybody's critique. And now I think the latest video is bestie, I hope you're better soon. And he's reading the text. And let's pull it up, actually. Because he was reading them texts.
Let's go.
What is his name? Why did I forget his name? Because we really need to go to those texts that he was reading, because we need to see that again. I don't think y'all saw it. Y'all were looking, but y'all didn't see it. Let's see it.
Amidst all the controversy that has come from this video that I posted, I wanted to come on here and read some of the messages that my students are sending me. Some of the messages that they've been sending me. During this time. Hey, bestie. I really hope that you see this message. How are you? I hope that you're okay. My class misses you so much. And we really want you.
All right, that's enough of that. Anywho, I just wanted to make it fresh in y'all mind, right? Because y'all didn't remember. I know y'all didn't. It was so long ago in the live stream, y'all didn't remember, so I had to give you a refresher, right? But hey, bestie, and going through the text messages from the students. No, I'm not. I can't. I'm sorry. Again, the idea that my child, somebody's doing, a teacher's doing something with my child I find inappropriate, and I tell the teacher, this is inappropriate, stop doing this with my child. And now my child and the teacher messaging back and forth, hey, bestie, they just don't understand our relationship is pure. No. Like, it's every video that comes out, I feel less and less sympathy. Like, less and less. And that's what makes it's also childish. Like, this just feels childish. Even if you don't believe it, the professional thing, right, would be to I would like to extend a public apology. I realize that my behavior, like, it's the fact that you couldn't even do the fake public press. Like, maybe he doesn't have a PR person, to be fair. He's a teacher. Like, you got to give me something to work with. You got to give me something to work with. But he didn't give, he gave nothing. He came and gave nothing 6 times. How many videos did he put out? Hold up. Yes. I'm very confused. What happened? It's gone. This video is unavailable. No way. Did we just watch it get taken down live? Hold up. No way. No way. I can't find his channel. No way. It did not just get taken down. Oh, here it is.
No way.
So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 videos on the braiding hair backlash, his response and aftermath and all that. 6 videos. And it's like each video that came out. No, he didn't block. Why do y'all think this man would block me? I gotta block Prince.petti. He's too strong. What do y'all think this man is afraid of? If he ain't afraid of braiding hair on TikTok and doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down, what is after quadruple? Quintuple? Hold up. Quintuple. It is quintuple. That sounds ridiculous, but apparently it's true. Quintupled down. He quintupled down. I'm gonna say quintuple. We don't have to go to hexuple, because the first video is just the initial video, and then the next 5 is the double, then the triple, then the quadruple, then the quintuple. So we don't have to do the hexuple, right? 5 times, yes. But anywho, now we're just rambling, right? Not adding anything to the conversation at all. Let's see what another teacher had to say. The braids teacher got fired and said, I guess some of y'all never had a cool teacher. I was the cool teacher, fam, and recording a bunch of girls taking out your hair during school when y'all could be doing actual cool learning is very, very weird. The teachers have weighed in. Do I have anyone else who weighed in? Let's see.
The reality is, Black women, when you advocate for yourself or children within the Black community, always understand that if you are going up against a Black man, especially, you are never going to win. People will always find excuses for them. That is why there's so much pedophilia within the Black community. They will protect the man in the situation every single time, no matter if it's a pastor, a teacher, a home health aide. They will always protect the Black man. Logging off. The reality is, Black women,
that teacher that y'all was defending, up and down my comment section was just on live crying because his students were texting him. His students was texting him encouraging messages, starting the messages off with, hey, bestie, blase, love you. Now listen, I've had my fair share of favorite teachers my damn self, but texting a teacher, hey, bestie, now pause right there, because some of y'all can get in my comment section and try to say that I'm blaming the kids. Fuck that. This ain't got nothing to do with them kids. Maybe them kids is doing what kids do. This is about that grown-ass man not understanding boundaries when you work with children. Y'all was so pressed. Some of y'all was in my comment section had the audacity to say that.
I'm glad she said that he was not understanding boundaries. Like, the behavior aside really quick, the fact that it doesn't seem like he understands even why it might be a debated topic. Like, it feels like he doesn't even understand why this might be seen as inappropriate, which is also a problem.
I'm projecting because I was groomed. I was never groomed. My parents have sense. That sense trickled into me, which is why I now have sense. Some of y'all parents was letting y'all roam in the streets and do whatever the fuck you want to do, so you don't understand when shit is weird. I'm telling you right now, the same way. See, I try to be gentle. I try to be gentle because I didn't have all the information about him. Don't mind this cat in my background. I tried to be gentle in the first video because I didn't really know too much about him. All I knew was that video. More information has come out. I'm not gonna be gentle this time. That shit is fucking weird. Okay? Sometimes when shit is weird and we're telling you why it's weird, we're giving you X, Y, and Z examples on why it's weird. Sometimes y'all just need to shut the fuck up and listen. He shouldn't have lost his job. Bitch, you was late to work 3 times in a row. You lost your job. People lose their job all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the least of his motherfucking words. He better hope he ain't on a registry by the end of this. Sometimes we want people to be good. We want everybody to have pure hearts. We want everything to be innocent. But some shit just ain't. And it just is what it is. It just is what it is. Unfortunately, that's not the world we live in. We have to be fucking for real sometimes. And let me tell you why I knew this shit was gonna go downhill. He started the video with "Let's stir the pot." He continued to double down. He continued to make videos about it. He continued to go live. He continued to do all these things because he knew that he was a crush person because he wanted to go viral. He's not worried about saving my kids. Y'all want to make it seem like, oh, it's just so innocent. The girls are just having to say, I just have community. Girl, bitch, oh, please. Let's keep the whole stack. That man was at work, number 1. Them kids was at school, number 2. He is a grown-ass man that is children. Bitch, you should have booked your appointment way later. The fuck? If my daddy, Jeffrey Bell, found out I took out my male teacher hair, and then after he got fired, texted me and be like, Bessie, he would have rung that nigga because he would have tried to kill him. I'm not gonna cap to you. But hey, every daddy ain't got sense. That teacher.
Dang it, I was muted. I'm trying to find one video in particular, and I just forgot because I just said a lot of stuff that was unrelated to the video. But while I look for it, I would say to anyone who's going to argue in anybody's comment section about this or on anybody's panel, go and read people's arguments and replace braiding hair with rubbing thighs and tell me if the arguments make sense. Because the arguments I'm seeing are he was comfortable with them. In the students, he's creating a comfortable space for students. Blah, 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 right? The only arguments I'm seeing are like he was creating a comfortable space for students. That's it. And that y'all are trying to bring a black man down. I have seen that one too. Or y'all are just traumatized, etc., etc., etc. None of these things, I believe, would make rubbing a child's thighs appropriate behavior. So I want to be sure if you guys are going out and having debates in people's comment section that when you're reading arguments, make sure the arguments are addressing the behavior and not like something completely unrelated that nobody's arguing about. No one's arguing about creating a comfortable space for children. Nobody's arguing about children feeling safe with you. No one is arguing about that. People are arguing about the behavior being intimate and inappropriate. That's simply it. Now the video I was looking for.
Stir the pot means he knows he's wrong.
Ooh,
I've seen.
She came on strong.
Stir the pot means he knows he's wrong. I've seen a lot of stitches who have gathered him. Even you on your job taking down your own hair is unprofessional. Bring back professionalism. We need people in the classroom who can model good behavior for students and who have discernment. There's a lack of discernment. But just to reflect on my own journey. So when I was in high school, I had a teacher kiss me. During the processional, when we were picking up our diplomas, she kissed me. I never talked about this with anyone else. It made me feel so uncomfortable. Just the feelings that shot through my body immediately was just like, just made me so uncomfortable. She was not a teacher who was particularly nice to me. I can remember many injustices that I suffered at her hands, so it was kind of shocking to me. But, you know, she smiled and she kissed me. I don't think she meant any harm, but I have thought about it ever since. I remember being introduced to the concept of battery when I was in law school, and this instance came up. So a battery is an unwanted touching. It doesn't have to necessarily be harmful. It doesn't have to be a punch. It could be any touching. As a matter of fact, the case law states that if you're sitting in your car and someone touches your car and it's unwanted, or if you're sitting on a horse and someone touches your horse and it's unwanted, that could be considered a battery. So I've always thought about that. And when I graduated from high school, graduated from college, went on to law school and graduated, I had an opportunity to teach. And when I taught this concept during the unit, when we talked about battery, I always brought up how my teacher kissed me and it was an unwanted touching. And this whole incident has brought up the fact that it was so weird for her to even be that close to me. I was shaking her hand, getting my diploma, or just, she was down the line where you shake the different people's hands. But for her to even come in that close, I had never been that close to a teacher. I had never been close enough to be taking out their hair, for them to be doing my hair. Absolutely no. So absolutely inappropriate. I hope what needs to be done happens in this situation.
Period. 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 Do y'all think it would be different if he was unattractive? I don't think he looks attractive, but apparently people in the comments were saying he's very handsome, very attractive. Do y'all think it would be different if he was like balding and beer bellied? Do y'all think it would be different if it wasn't like, what if it was like a scalp massage, right? Because I'd be seeing people say, oh, but they do this at the hair salon. Like, what if it was a scalp massage? Would people be like, what's wrong with that? They already finished for the day. It's the last 10 minutes of class. You never gave your teacher a scalp massage before. I feel like we should replace hair braiding with scalp massage and ask if it's like more of an ask if the arguments work the same. Because the arguments are like, what's inherently sexual about this? What's inherently intimate about this? I feel like replace it with a scalp massage. And do you feel the same? Yeah, I wanted to reward the kids today with a scalp massage. They all get to line up and I have hair oil. I have some hair oil and they get to give me a scalp massage. These are my besties. Oh yeah. These are my besties right here. You guys are just trying to turn our pure relationship into something it's not. The scalp massage, period. I love it. I love that. Let me see. Can we get one more? There's a lot going on in these TikToks. We had Fresh and Fit on Jubilee. We had who's the dude? I'm kind of cool. 410. And they had his side profile. Let me see if I can find it. He dates somebody. He dates a Latin woman. Please, somebody let me know what his name is. This guy. They've been going crazy. They have been going crazy with this man. I wish I remember his name. Oh, Dunn Tolliver. Anyway, sorry. That was a little side distraction. I'm just trying to explain some of my TikToks here.
Has China created brain rot to dominate U.S. citizens?
No, Senator.
Have you ever practiced edging streaks in China?
Senator, I served my nation in Singapore. No, I did not.
So you only did edging streaks in Singapore?
Yes, and I served my military for two and a half years in Singapore.
Do you have any other brain rot social media we don't know?
No, Senator.
So you're the Singaporean Quandale Dingle King of brain rot?
That's correct.
Do you intend to be the new king of Ohio?
No, not yet.
Okay. Have you ever joked with the Chinese Communist Party?
Senator, I'm Singaporean. No.
Have you ever been associated with the Chinese edging army?
No, Senator. Again, I'm Singaporean.
It's a very simple question that unites both parties in our country. Let me ask you this. Joe Biden last year said that Xi Jinping was a Rizzler. Do you agree with Joe Biden that Xi Jinping is a Rizzler?
Even though I don't like him, I'll have to agree. Xi Jinping is a Rizzler.
I wonder if that music is copyright. And this is what AI was created for. Y'all think people gonna be using AI for espionage and no. People gonna use it for not espionage, excuse me, sabotaging people's career. Nope, they're gonna use it for the edging streak video.
Shall we? Last Friday, 10 minutes before dismissal time, I decided to live stream my students helping me take my hair out. There was quite the discourse in the chat, which had people saying this was inappropriate, and other people saying this was completely fine. There was nothing wrong with what I was doing, and people were just making it weird. So, of course, I had to bring this issue to the big stage.
I don't mean any harm, so I want to do the best that I can to approach this gently and respectfully. The creator has welcomed commentary, so I hope this message reaches him and he's in a space to receive some different feedback. But this is extremely inappropriate. It is inappropriate for a grown adult male teacher to get the help of his underage female students to help take out his hair. In addition to this being inappropriate, it's also extremely unprofessional. You were on the clock in a classroom, on live, with the name of your school on full display on your shirt, surrounded by a group of your students taking out your hair. There's a time and a place for everything. That's not the time. It's not the place. As a Black male teacher, you're needed, you're important, you're valuable. On a day-to-day basis, you should be demonstrating what it looks like to be a professional in a work setting. And to be on the clock, taking out your braids, it just ain't that. You are the teacher, they're your students, y'all need better boundaries. And because you're the adult in that situation, you need to do a better job of upholding those boundaries. In your comment section, someone said, oh, this just looks like a big brother, little sister relationship. And the original creator said, oh, and I have little sisters, but those girls are not your little sisters. Someone said, oh, this is what families do. Families help one another. Y'all aren't family. I can respect the fact that maybe in your classroom you've cultivated an environment where the children feel safe, where they feel seen and heard, the environment is conducive for learning, and maybe y'all feel like family, but y'all aren't actually family. In your voiceover, you refer to those kids as, oh, it's like 100 of my little best friends. Y'all aren't besties. Y'all aren't peers. And it's important that certain boundaries be maintained and stay intact. I have some coworkers that I'm cool with, and they're just that. They're coworkers. I don't care how close we might be in the workplace. There's certain boundaries that need to stay intact. In your comment section, someone said, oh, this is very intimate. And there was some pushback. Other people were like, well, what's intimate about it? Inviting someone into your personal space and allowing them to touch you is intimate. Allowing these students to come into your personal space and help to take out your hair is intimate. And I want to be careful here because I don't think you mean any harm. I don't think that you're doing anything like intentionally inappropriate. I don't think that you're looking at your students any type of way, but I can guarantee that some of those little girls got a crush on you. I can guarantee some of them are looking at you inappropriately. They're like what, 13, 14, 15? They're vulnerable. Their minds aren't fully developed. And even at that age, they have men that are 2 and 3 times their age trying to holler at them. So for a couple of them, you want a menu. You might not realize it, but they notice when you change your watch, when you switch your hair up, when you wear your earrings versus when you don't. They notice your tattoos and everything about you. So it's important that you monitor and govern and police your own behavior and your conduct and be aware of how you're showing up in that space and how some of those young girls are perceiving you. You don't want to have anybody questioning your conduct or how you're moving. There's just certain pitfalls that you can avoid if you avoid this behavior altogether. You want to bond and have a close-knit relationship with them, I can respect that. Learn some TikTok dances, get some special handshakes. But these girls helping to take out your hair, that ain't it. I asked a couple of my homies who have daughters what they thought about it, and they said it's a hell no.
Gathered. Anywho, the first comment says, y'all be mad at everything but the kids being slow. Y'all have nasty minds and unhealed UNHEELED trauma that y'all push on others. Seek help, lady. Welcome, Shafib N15. We were just heading out. He said, y'all have unhealed. He has scraped the bottom of your foot off. Whoa. I can't read those comments. That seemed inappropriate. Yeah, again, replace the behavior with something else inappropriate, because people are addressing anything but the behavior, and ask yourself if the arguments make sense. If a grown man was rubbing his student's thigh, would you be like, y'all be mad at everything but the kids being slow? Y'all don't want to talk about that though. Okay, so they don't want to talk about the kids being slow, but there's still inappropriate behavior going on that we are talking about. So what's your point? What's your point? Thank you everybody for joining. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't already, and subscribe if you like the content and you want to see more. Let's go ahead and do our shaming session. So as you can see from the analytics here, 79% 22% of y'all are subscribed currently on this video right now in the chat, and 20.8% of you are not subscribed. So the link is there. Let's talk to the 20%. Why are you stealing food from my mouth? Let's start there. 20.8% watching. Why? I know you're here. I have time, by the way. Going once. Oh, I reviewed some of the analytics in my YouTube and realized that sometimes people jump in the live stream and jump out. So this is not necessarily a true depiction of the people who are actually still here and watching at the end of the stream. It could have been people who like hopped in and they were like, who is this guy by, and then left. So if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe. Thank you everybody for coming. I'll put the gel in the hair. I'll do something and have a good night. Oh, tomorrow we're going to do our actual stream. I wasn't going to stream about this separately. I was just going to touch on it a little bit in tomorrow's stream, but it just felt like I didn't want it connected to tomorrow's stream because tomorrow we're talking about me going to college, which I'm so excited about. And I'm not about to talk about some suspicious behavior in the same stream. I don't want that attached. So I will see you guys tomorrow at 7 p.m. EST. Good night.